You are 17 years old. You are standing in the VIP section of an exclusive velvet-roped nightclub in London. The music is deafening. The air smells like expensive champagne, imported cologne, and pure unfiltered power. The man dancing next to you is not a regular VIP. He is royalty. He is a prince of the British royal family. He is sweating heavily, smiling at you, oblivious to the world around him. You smile back, because smiling is what you are paid to do. But behind your eyes, your brain is running a frantic, terrifying calculation. You are a high school dropout, a runaway who was sleeping on the streets just a few years ago. And tonight, you are being told to entertain a prince by a billionaire who owns you. To understand how a desperate teenager becomes a disposable piece of furniture for the most powerful men on the planet, you have to look at the brutal economics of vulnerability. You don't come from money. You come from a broken home in California, and then Florida chaos was your first language. By the time you were 14, you were a runaway. You learned early that the streets are not romantic. They are just cold, hungry, and full of predators who can smell desperation like blood in the water. You spent time in a troubled teen facility. You lived with a man in Miami who ran a fake modeling agency that was actually a front for trafficking. You learned that adults do not protect you, they consume you. But eventually, you try to build a real life. You are 16. Your father gets you a job working as a locker room attendant at an ultra-exclusive country club in Palm Beach, Mar-a-Lago. You are making minimum wage, handing out towels to people who wear watches that cost more than your life is worth. You are studying a book about massage therapy on your lunch breaks. You have a dream. You want to be a professional masseuse. You want to travel. You want to be someone. One afternoon, a woman approaches you. She is a British socialite. She has an elegant accent, perfectly tailored clothes, and a smile that makes you feel like you are the most important person in the room. She notices your book. She asks if you want to be a massage therapist. She tells you she works for a billionaire financier. She says he needs a traveling masseuse. No experience necessary. They will train you. They will pay you more money than you have ever seen. You look at her, and you don't see a trafficker. You see a fairy godmother. You see a rescue boat pulling up to a drowning girl. You say yes. That is the first and most devastating mistake of your life. She drives you to a sprawling, pristine mansion in Palm Beach. Manicured lawns, heavy wooden doors, security cameras hidden in the palm trees. You walk inside, and the trap silently closes behind you. The billionaire is waiting. He is lying down. He is completely naked. The British socialite doesn't flinch. She stands next to the massage table and instructs you on exactly how to touch him. You freeze. The panic rises in your throat, but you look at the wealth around you. You think about the streets. You think about the hunger. They seemed like nice people, so I trusted them. You will say years later, I told them I had been a runaway. I had been abused. That was the worst thing I could have told them, because now they knew exactly how vulnerable I was. Predators do not look for strength. They look for fractures, and you were entirely broken. The normalization process begins. It is not a cliff you fall off. It is a slow, methodical ramp down into hell. First, it is just him. Then, it is the grooming. They buy you expensive clothes. They take you shopping. They make you feel like you are part of an elite, untouchable family. And then, the business model shifts. You realize you are not an employee. You are inventory. They put you on a private, customized Boeing 727. They fly you to a sprawling ranch in New Mexico. They fly you to a massive townhouse in Manhattan. They fly you to a private sun-drenched island in the Caribbean, an island where the water is crystal clear, and the rules of the United States government simply do not apply. You are no longer just massaging the billionaire. You are instructed to service his friends. You walk into rooms and recognize faces from the evening news. You see hedge fund managers who control billions of dollars. You see famous lawyers. You see award-winning scientists. You see powerful politicians. You are passed around to these men like a platter of fruit. You try to process the cognitive dissonance. These are the men who run the world. These are the men who write the laws, who fund the charities, who sit on the boards of prestigious universities. And they are all participating in the exact same nightmare. You realize the most terrifying truth of the global elite. Power does not corrupt them. Power just strips away the fear of consequences. To them, you are not a human being with a soul, a future, or a family. You are a party favor, a high-end amenity provided by their billionaire host to ensure their absolute loyalty. Which brings you back to the nightclub in London, March 2001. You are 17. The British socialite takes you back to her luxurious townhouse in the exclusive neighborhood of Belgravia. The prince is there. The socialite looks at you. Her voice is calm, instructing, like a manager delegating a task. You have to do for him what you do for the billionaire, she says. Someone takes a photograph. It is a casual, smiling picture. The prince has his arm around your waist. The socialite is standing in the background, smiling warmly. It looks like a picture of old friends. It is actually a photograph of a crime scene. Later that night, the billionaire hands you $15,000 in cash. $15,000. You stare at the banded stacks of bills. You realize what the money actually is. It is not a payment for services. It is a gag order. It is the price of your silence. It is them buying your memory and locking it in a vault. For 2.5 years, you live inside this golden cage. Then, in September of 2002, they make a logistical error. They send you to Thailand. They send you to an international massage school in Chiang Mai. The socialite buys your ticket, but she gives you a specific instruction. She tells you to find another young, vulnerable girl in Thailand and bring her back to the United States for the billionaire. They don't just want you to be a victim anymore. They want to promote you to a recruiter. They want you to become exactly like them. You sit in Thailand, thousands of miles away from the private jets and the mansions. The geographic distance clears the fog in your brain. You look at the instruction to bring another girl into the nightmare, and a line is finally drawn in the sand of your soul. You refuse. You meet an Australian martial arts trainer. He is normal. He doesn't own an island. He doesn't have a private jet. You marry him 10 days later. You call the billionaire and tell him you are never coming back. You sever the cord. You move to Australia. You change your life. You try to become a ghost. For years, you build a quiet existence. You live in a normal house. You have children. You try to bury the memories of the Palm Beach mansion and the London townhouse under the mundane, beautiful routine of being a mother. But the past is a predator, and it never stops hunting. In 2005, a local police department in Florida finally begins investigating the billionaire after a local parent files a complaint. The police start digging through his trash. They find notes with phone numbers. They find the names of the girls. In 2007, your phone rings in Australia. It is the British socialite she is probing, asking if you have spoken to anyone. A day later, the billionaire calls. Then, an FBI agent calls. The walls of the billionaire's fortress are finally starting to crack, but the system is rigged. The billionaire hires the most expensive, connected defense attorneys in the country. They secure a secret non-prosecution agreement. The billionaire serves a few months in a private wing of a county jail, going to his office 6 days a week on work release. The justice system doesn't punish him. It accommodates him. You watch this from Australia. You feel the crushing, suffocating weight of powerlessness. Then, in 2010, you give birth to your daughter. You look at her sleeping in your arms, tiny, innocent, completely vulnerable. You think about the girls who are still walking into that Palm Beach mansion. You think about the socialites smiling at them, offering them a job. Then, you see a newspaper. It is a photograph of the billionaire walking casually through Central Park in New York City alongside the royal prince. They are laughing. They are untouchable. The anger that ignites inside you is absolute. You realize that silence is not a shield. Silence is an accomplice. You decide to declare war on the most powerful network of men in the world. You file lawsuits. You sign sworn affidavits. You sit in front of television cameras and you say their names. You release the photograph from the London townhouse. You endure smear campaigns. Billionaire-funded lawyers call you a liar, an extortionist, a fraud. Private investigators dig through your entire past. The media dissects every mistake you have ever made. The billionaire is finally arrested again in 2019. A month later, he is found dead in his Manhattan jail cell. The socialite is arrested, convicted, and sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. The prince is forced to step down from all public royal duties in absolute disgrace, eventually paying millions in a civil settlement. You did it. You brought down the untouchable empire. You are hailed as a hero, a fierce warrior who refused to be silenced. But there is no fairy tale ending. You live the rest of your life in a state of permanent, vibrating tension. Your marriage falls apart under the crushing weight of the trauma and the relentless global spotlight. You suffer from severe health issues. You move to a secluded farm in Western Australia, but the paranoia never really leaves. You look out at the quiet, vast Australian landscape, and you finally understand the cruelest, darkest truth of surviving the global elite. You can expose the billionaire. You can lock up the socialite. You can disgrace the prince. But you can never unsee the machine that protected them. You spent your entire adult life fighting a hydra. You cut off a few heads, but the body, the network of wealth, complicity, and silent power remains perfectly intact. The billionaire didn't just steal your teenage years. He stole your ability to ever feel completely safe again. The ultimate punishment for surviving the island isn't the memory of what happened there. The punishment is living the rest of your life, knowing exactly what the people who run the world are capable of doing in the dark. You escaped the trafficker, but you never truly escaped the cage. That is a wrap for today. The story you just heard is based on the heartbreaking, real-life accounts of the survivors of the Jeffrey Epstein trafficking network. Right now, in some exclusive zip code, a wealthy predator is offering a vulnerable runaway a job that seems too good to be true. If this deep dive made you think, drop your biggest takeaway in the comments. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next one.